Rachel here from Beads by the Chill, bringing you a live tutorial on doing bead ends using calots. So I'm going to use sew no thread, but like I said before, that's my favourite thread to use, either a 2 or a 4, and it's a Bead Smith. It's called no stretch nylon, so particularly if you're using heavy beads, that's a very good one to use. Now, for your beading thread, you need to cut double the length you require. So for example, if you're doing a 16-inch length, you want 32, and I would add on at least another 4 to 6 inches on top of that. I've cut a length of my thread. I am going to pop on a crimp bead. It doesn't really matter what colour your crimp bead is because you're not going to see it. And I'm going to shimmy that along until it sits in the middle of the thread, and I'm going to bring both ends together. So there's my check crystals that we're going to work with. Here's my thread. I find it really useful on this to actually work with a big eye needle, but you can just make your own with some fine wire. I thread both ends through that. My crimp bead is still in the centre. You've got this bit here is for your jump ring and your clasp, and then we've got a middle bit which hopefully you can see that we're going to go through. Now position that so that your loop for the jump ring is facing down, and pop your thread through the callot. So you're aiming to get your crimp bead sat in the middle. There's your crimp bead, and there it is. I'm going to twizzle that round just so that you can see that. That crimp bead sits inside. I'm going to close that up now with my chain nose pliers. Also to point out that the calots that I sell and use have got pre-formed loops. There are a lot on the market where you form your own loops. Personally, I'm not a great lover of them because you have to consistently get the right loop, and also I find that it doesn't always stay very stable for your connections. When we've actually finished, we will pop our findings on the calots. So for now, we are going to thread beads. Not the most exciting for you to watch, but to be honest, with this big eye needle, it's super quick. And you can use a bead board if you need to see the measurements. And like I say, if you're using really heavy beads, then I would be inclined to use the Bead Smith cord. We're going to reverse the process, and we're going to pop on the callot. I'm going up through the callot from the other direction this time. And now I'm adding a crimp bead on. This time I am actually going to crimp it. What you also want to do is make sure that you have no unsightly gaps in your necklace. But I'm getting my chain nose pliers in there, and I'm going to squeeze that crimp bead. So that's all inside there. I've taken my big eye needle off, and now just as extra security, I'm going to do a knot, but I'm going to do a triple knot. So I go in there 3 times. So normally clear nail varnish, but I'm going to use pink nail varnish, and that's to seal the knot. We're just going to let that set. Whilst that's setting that side, I will show you how we attach the findings. If you find that at this end it starts getting a bit sort of tilted, what you can always do is add a little seed bead just after the callot, and that will help it sit better. So we have a jump ring and a clasp. I'm going to do that first of all. The jump ring with the slit, have the slit at the 12 o'clock position and hold your flat nose pliers in your left and your chain nose pliers in the right and open. If you're left-handed, just reverse it to the other side. Pop the end of your callot onto your jump ring. Pop your clasp onto the jump ring as well, and then close up. I always give it a squeeze on the top. That's your one end. That should be sufficient time for that to set now. So we'll trim those ends off, close that up. And then you can always have a little extender chain if you wish. And there's your jump ring. Open up that element. I'm going to pop my chain on there. Pop the end of the callot on there. And close that up. You can always add a decorative piece and add a little crystal or something on the base like this one. There you have a really nice looking necklace with a lobster clasp fastening. You can use any type of fastening with the clasps. I just used the lobster clasp as an example today. Anyway, it's lovely to have you join me. You take care now. Bye.